they really wanted this bubble font. So I said, let me see if I can make this happen. So I write the person. I said at the end, you know, thank TikTok. So the response I got was, I'm not even on TikTok. So I don't know what that even means. And you know how things can be misconstrued through text. I took it as rude. Is Fiverr safe? Is Fiverr a scam? In this video, I'm going to share with you my experience with Fiverr and give you some tips on how you can navigate Fiverr better. Hey world, Tiffany Stacey here, aka Tiffany Wilson, and I'm the owner of Tiffany Stacey Photography and Video LLC, and I provide weekly video tips to help your business grow. And if you haven't done so already, please feel free to join my email list, which you can do by going to tiffanystacy.com, and there should be a little box that pops up and you can put in your email address so you can be the first to hear about ways you can help your business grow through video marketing. I'm assuming that you've heard of Fiverr. If you haven't heard of Fiverr, Fiverr is just an affordable way that you can get freelancers to help you with your business and marketing needs. Now, I've used Fiverr on a few occasions with some of the things that I was not very good at and familiar with, and I've had okay experiences, not the best, but it's still a resource that I will continue to use, but I will be more careful about who I will work with in the future. So for a long time, I've considered Fiverr. Yes, like everybody else, I was a little bit skeptical because, you know, when you think about cheap services, you think about all the things that could go wrong because it's just so cheap. That is why during the pandemic, or during the early parts of the pandemic, I decided that maybe I should just give it a try, you know, put a couple bucks towards some things that I needed done. One of the first things that I really needed done was I needed my logo animated. This was something I wanted to get done. I had tried it in After Effects. I tried to do it myself, tried to watch tutorials, just could not get it down, and it was just super time consuming. I knew it wasn't in my wheelhouse. So my idea was to go ahead and find somebody. So I ended up finding a guy from overseas, and he animated my logo. You know, we went back and forth. It looked a little weird at first. And I had to be very clear about what I wanted. One of the things that I wanted with my logo was, you know, obviously with the S curls up. That was what I really wanted. But I also wanted like kind of like a star to burst at the end of once it reaches the top. He did it, but it just looks so weird that I'm just like, this is not what I'm looking for. So I told him to get rid of it. Pretty much what you see now is what he created. It's not my original vision, but it works. It does the job. It's exactly what I needed. I decided to go ahead and hire him for another project that I was working on, and that was to create some of my lower thirds, like the one that you see when I start my video with my name and title. I asked him to create some of the social media icons that are animated, and I started to use those on these videos early on, but to this day do not like how they were created. I had to do some adjustments. I want to be able to adjust the social media icons, like changing the font and color, but the spacing was really weird, and I used them at first, but after a while I just like, these just are not very good. And it's the way that they move, they just don't seem very fluid to me. I asked him specifically not to use templates from, you know, various websites. I know that they're out there. I've seen them, you know, I've used them. I told him to make the icons from scratch, and he said he could do it. I gave him a decent review on both projects. You know, it could have been horrible, but it could have been better too. So moving forward, I had a client that needed some work done. She needed some text animation, and I pretty much was up front with her, saying that it's not in my wheelhouse and that I would have to hire out for that type of service, and she was completely okay with it. So I went to Fiverr to find somebody that could do this specific text animation for me, and I vetted a couple of people. This project had a pretty tight deadline on it, And I was just concerned with getting it done and making sure that the person that was doing my animation, they were able to get what they needed to complete it in a timely manner. And I do remember we were kind of going back and forth. And the biggest thing that I'm big on is communication. I felt like I didn't completely get that all the time. When I would send stuff to this person, I wouldn't get any kind of acknowledgement like, okay, I got it. Like, I'll get, working on this right away. I didn't get any of that. And so I was a little concerned that I wasn't sure if he was working on this project. I think there was actually a 1 or 2 day delay where I didn't hear anything, so I had to reach out to him. So my client was making some changes as time was going on. I know that they had an idea of creating, like, with the TikTok font, like with the bubble. They really wanted this bubble font. So I said, let me see if I can make this happen. So I write the person. I said at the end, thank TikTok. So the response I got was, I'm not even on TikTok, so I don't know what that even means. And you know how things can be misconstrued through text. I took it as rude. After it was all said and done with Fiverr, at the end you're able to give that person a tip, plus you can review them and give them a rating, a star rating, and I believe it's like up to 5 stars that you give them. I gave him a 4 out of 5 stars because, again, it was a communication issue. Work was great, but that proponent that you need in order to make something happen was really critical. After everything was said and done, gave him a tip, gave him the rating. He gives me my rating. I got a 5. I guess after he reviewed what I gave him and what I said, I think he assumed that it was some sort of glitch in the system, which I guess it was. Here's the thing. I don't want you to have to deal with those types of problems. And I know when you're dealing with, especially when you subcontract for work, it's not going to be a perfect relationship, and you have to be flexible, and you have to exercise patience, and on top of that, be able to communicate to these people exactly what your vision is, and you have to do it in detail because not everybody's going to understand where you're coming from. So I just wanted to share with you a few tips that you should use when you're trying to figure out if you should use Fiverr, and then what you should ask and what you should look for when you're on there. One is always look at their portfolio. It's pretty easy to identify if somebody's looking at a template. If you look at enough people's profiles, you can see it. I've been able to detect, and maybe it's just because I've seen those similar templates on like Envato Market, which is a great place to buy templates, by the way. But I've seen them, so when you've seen them so many times, you know when someone's using a template. So just be aware that people do this, and please send them a message when you do, and ask them if they make their templates from scratch. Yes, message them. Be very specific about the details of your project. I feel like the more detailed you are, the better you are to detect if that person can handle what your needs are. Read the reviews, but don't take the reviews to heart, because each person probably has had their own different experiences, just like the person that I had. They had superb reviews, but my experience was different from maybe someone else's experience. Do not go with the cheapest freelancer. Even if it says $5, don't even, and I know it's named after, Fiverr's named after, get these services for $5, but just don't, depending upon what you need. More than likely, if you wanted to look good, and I'm not saying that finding someone cheaper is not going to give you what you're looking for, but as they say, you get what you pay for. I tend to like to go with someone that's kind of a happy medium, where it's in the middle in terms of price. It's not the highest person, it's not the pro, but it's someone in the middle that's still learning but willing to work with you. If you have the chance, try them out on a less demanding or a personal project, because you can see how they work. And now Fiverr has it where you can basically subscribe to a different vendor or a freelancer that can provide these services. So maybe you end up you like working with this particular person, and you want to go ahead and subscribe to them because you want to continue to get those types of services. And my last point is to always trust your gut. My gut has never steered me wrong in terms of the people that I've worked with. Doesn't matter if they're here in the United States or they're overseas. I've always went with my gut. And again, my experiences could have been far worse, but they weren't, because I kind of went with my gut and I tried to work with the situation. So also, I'm an affiliate with Fiverr. So if you would like to get started on Fiverr, if you've never used it, please feel free to click on resources page. As a result, I end up receiving a small commission, which helps me to continue to grow this content. I hope these tips were helpful. If you like this content, please feel free to share with your network. So have a happy and a safe and healthy rest of your week, and I will be back next Thursday.